Please welcome CSP Jeff Mowatt.
Jeff Mowatt.
Jeff Mowatt.
My encouragement when it comes to dealing with the anger that we have is a couple-fold. First, in your job, it's, I think, relatively easy, depending on your personality, to have a low level of annoyance all day. There are many people who, because we're just so darned rushed and frustrated, we are constantly annoyed and frustrated because we think things should be a certain way. The problem with having a low level of frustration or annoyance is it will kill us. We know that there's all sorts of studies that are done that if we're slightly annoyed all day, our lifespans are going to be dramatically reduced. So there's a couple of things that I would encourage you to consider in your life when you do have challenges with folks. One is, and I know it's going to sound like some sort of new age Zen thing, but meditating. And the idea of meditating is to take 10 minutes to focus on something and try this experiment, just, and not here and now, but in general, like try tomorrow, where during lunch you maybe go outside or find a place and you focus and you do nothing. And if you're outside and you're going to hear traffic coming by, there's going to be people walking, there's going to be all these interruptions, and the idea is that you let it go. And you just let it come in, but you don't focus on it, and you let it go. And that idea of letting go in a day, over the course of a day, can help us so much to, when we have an encounter with someone, to get in the habit of letting it go, to be in the present and dealing with that next person in a way that can still be pleasant. So that's one suggestion I have for you. Another suggestion is, it's okay to express anger, not to demonstrate it. Had a great example of this in terms of the impact it could have on somebody. One of my neighbor, John Motherwell, rest his soul, passed away. An older gentleman. We live next to an older couple. He passed away about 5 years ago, and my wife and I went to the funeral, and his son gave the eulogy. And it was funny because a eulogy is kind of wrapping up what was the person like, and he gave one example. He said, "You know, my dad, there's a lot I could say about my dad, but the one thing I remember was when I was about 10 years old, we got a new riding lawnmower. I was so excited about this that Dad said to me, now, I'm going to show you tomorrow when I get home from work, I'll show you how to run it, but don't do it now. I'll show you how to run it when I get home from work tomorrow." Well, now they're next door neighbors, and we live in the place that we live in Calgary, it's like an acreage that backs onto the Bow River Valley. It's a third of an acre, sort of. It's small, but it's big enough. A riding lawnmower makes sense. And then there's this cliff, which goes down to the Bow River Valley. Well, you kind of know where I'm going with this, right? Don't get too far ahead of me. So anyway, William said, "Well, I couldn't stand it, and I just wanted to sit." I said, "I was just going to sit on it. That's all I was going to do." And then I tried turning and started. Well, he goes, "Well, I can. It's a break. I can do that." So anyway, he went ahead and and it was going pretty slow, but it went. He jumped off, but it went. He said it went into so many pieces you couldn't even tell what it was when you looked at it. And he said, so then Dad came home, and he said, "You know, when Dad got home, he said, I am too mad about this to talk to you about this today." He said, "We'll talk about this on Friday." And he said, "It was a Tuesday." He said, "For 3 days." And he said, "I tried to say I'm sorry." And then he said, "You know, if you talk about this, I'm going to be more angry." So he said, finally Friday came along, and I was just so upset about this. And when he said, Friday came along, Dad said, "Well, I guess you're going to be pushing the old mower from here on in." He said, that's the kind of man my dad was. Yeah, he was human, and yeah, he got angry. But he never ever let his anger get the best of him. And maybe that's a lesson for all of us. It's okay to express your anger. You know, he didn't say, "I'm not angry," and it's okay for us to feel that. But when our anger can manifest itself in terms of yelling, of swearing, of violence and crying and all that kind of thing. But I would just remind us all that when we are angry, it's okay to say, "Hey, I'm angry, I'm upset," but not to demonstrate it. Maybe take a breath, take a day, take a moment,